Well, moving on, after the upheaval that was the year 2015, experts are anticipating a more balanced year in 2016 as the economy recovers from the rigours exerted last year. According to experts at CFC Stanbic, the country should witness a gradual uptick of the Nairobi securities exchange, a more stable shilling and a low inflation in 2016. And they have revised upwards their growth estimate from 5.3% to 5.7%. KTN's Adelaide Changole spoke to CFC Stanbic's regional economist for East Africa, Gibran Qureshi, on his outlook for the new year.
CFC Stanbic has just issued its economic outlook for 2016, and we're joined by the regional economist for East Africa, Gibran Qureshi, to give us a picture of what they anticipate for this year and going forward. Thank you so much for joining us, Gibran.
2015 was a challenging environment, not just at home but also globally. The currency was obviously under pressure from the broad-based dollar strength from the US. Inflation was pretty range bound, but from time to time the secondary round effects from the weaker shilling did get it above target. But I think overall looking into 2016, it's going to be a much better year, not just in terms of growth but also in terms of currency stability. There could be some inflationary pressures in the first quarter of this year, but that would be largely based on food inflation pressures.
Okay. Talked about the Fed rate hike quite a lot last year. It happened. It didn't have the impact everyone thought it was going to have.
The December rate hike was more date dependent, but going forward it's going to be more data dependent. And with the crash in global commodity prices, inflation in the US probably won't get to the 2% target anytime soon. So because of that, we expect the Fed to only move twice this year. I don't think we're going to see the scale of depreciation we saw in 2015 this year. It's going to be a more measured depreciation. Central banks obviously built a war chest of FX reserves, so they have more ammunition to ensure that any weakness is gradual and very orderly. I think more so looking at 2015, there was significant financial outflows from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. I think at some point in time this year it's probably going to reverse course. That should be positive for the shilling. And I think there could be a decent recovery in the tourism sector.
What is your outlook for 2016?
2016, we expect growth to expand by 5.7%. That's up from an estimated 5.3% in the previous year. Now, the reality is that what's expanding GDP is the construction sector, more closely linked to the public investment in infrastructure. What are the pitfalls we have to look out for? The biggest risk to us for the outlook is fiscal slippage. Back to the fact that it's a pre-election year. We need to ensure that we don't grow at the expense of macroeconomic instability. Expansionary fiscal policy could drive growth, but at some point in time, you need to ensure that you're prudent to actually send a positive signal to both local investors and foreign investors.
We were speaking to Gibran Qureshi, who was telling us about the economic outlook for 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. He's very optimistic, 5.7%, but says, agriculture might not do so well in the first quarter, but he's anticipating, great returns going forward in the second half as the NSE picks up and as the agricultural sector picks up. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Adelaide Changole, and it's back to studio.